Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today in this video, we are going to talk about owner financing deals, what they are, how to structure them, and how you can sell them. Make sure you tune in for some good information. Okay, so I just got done recording the video and I thought to myself, bro, you didn't give them enough substance. So I'm going to drop another video real soon giving you all the details, explaining everything because I'm sure you guys are going to have more questions. I'm going to take your questions and give you the answers plus even more sauce so you can go ahead and add to your game. I'm sorry, I was just in a rush to go ahead and drop a video. It's been a while. It was eating at me. I was hungry. I wanted to give you something. Please forgive me. But the next video will have more details when it comes to this because I think you can add this to your business and really turn things up. There are so many people that can't get a loan and they are looking for another way to buy a property. You can be their source. I'm sorry. Just watch the video. As I mentioned, in this video, we're going to talk about owner financing. Now, you may be asking, what is owner financing? It's basically a creative strategy when it comes to wholesaling. Well, it's not necessarily just stuck with wholesaling. People do it all the time, day to day, I guess, but it's something you can use in wholesaling. And it's where the seller of the property plays the bank. Rather than you having to go get a loan and try to fill out all these applications and get denied if you got bad credit, the seller says, hey, cool, you don't have to do any of that. I'll sell you the house and I'll play the bank. I'm not going to give you any money, but you could pay me the money back on a month-to-month basis. And it works great for a lot of people. Investors love it because it helps leverage their money rather than going to have to spend $100,000 on a house right up front. They can spend $100,000, but over some time, they can break it up and it makes better sense for them. When it comes to owner financing, there are several different ways you can set up the terms. Price is great. Of course, you want to get a great price, but terms are important. You have to keep in mind, there's two things you want to focus on. You want to focus on the terms and you want to focus on the price. If you cannot get your terms, then you want to get your price. If you can't get your price, then you want to get your terms. It has to be one or the other. Some sellers would try to push you into it. Hey, I need this price and I need these terms. And you have to put your foot down like, bruh, no. It's going to be one or the other. Okay, I'll give you your price, but I need my terms. Okay, I'll give you your terms, but I need my price. There has to be a compromise. Let's work together. High five, man. I appreciate it. Cool. Now, I said the seller's playing the bank. What does that mean? That means when you set up the terms, there's certain things you're going to want to talk about, such as down payment, interest rates, monthly payback schedules, how that's all set up, the amortization. There's something called a balloon payment that you can do. What does that mean? A balloon payment means you can say, I can make payments for 5 years. I make a payment every month for 5 years. And on the 5th year, I will make one big payment, one big balloon payment to pay off the rest of the payments or whatever I owe on it. People like that too. There's several different ways you can structure it. I'm going to give you an example because the last deal I talked about in that one video, I hope you watched it. If not, boom, catch right here. I don't know what side it's going to pop up on. Watch that video. I talked to a seller about a deal. We finally closed on that deal. We did an owner financing type of situation / subject to. It turned out very interesting. Please make sure you watch the video after this one whenever I drop it. God knows I'm not consistent whenever it comes out because I give all the details on that one. But a quick explanation of how this could work with the owner financing. You have a property. It's worth $100,000, but the seller wants $100,000. And you're like, bro, there's no money there to be made. I can't do anything with that. You have to be creative. You could tell them, look, man, okay, you want $100,000. Would you be willing to owner finance the property for me? Now, keep in mind, owner financing, they have to own the property free and clear. Now, they can't have a mortgage on it and necessarily do owner financing. You can set something up subject to and certain other different terminology and twists and turns and stuff. We'll talk about those later. But they own the property free and clear. They're playing the bank. You come to them, say, cool, I'll give you the $100,000, but not up front. Let me spread it over some time. Is that cool? They say, yeah, sure. What did you have in mind? I told you, you want to keep in mind the down payment. When it comes to my investors, I know a lot of them want to stay under a certain number. Nobody wants to come put a lot of money down on a property, especially when it gets into certain price ranges. So typically my guys like to stay under 4% of the purchase price. In this example, the house is $100,000. They stay at 4%, so they have to bring $4,000 for the down payment of the property. Okay, cool. $4,000 down payment. Now let's talk about the interest rate. Now, I typically try to get low as possible when it comes to the interest rate. I mean, they're already low when it comes to the bank. They're at like 2.25, maybe 2.75, but owner financing is a little different because they feel, hey, you're not going to a bank, you're not getting a credit check, so maybe I'll bump it up a little bit. So don't be surprised if they come at you and say, hey, I want 5%, 6%. That's not unheard of. It's still high, but it's not unheard of. And some investors would jump on it. A lot of my investors that I work around here with, 4.5% is typical when it comes to interest rates on the owner financing deals. Okay, cool. $4,000 down. Then we have the interest rate, 4.5%. What is the monthly payment going to look like? This is where the payment schedule comes into play. You can set this up several different ways. Once again, the way most of my guys around here do it is what I mentioned earlier, is with the balloon payment. They would take it and stretch it out for however long the seller's comfortable with. Typically, we like to do 10 to 15 years. We'll say, okay, we'll pay you this $100,000, but it will be over the next 15 years. And they say, okay, yeah, I'm fine with that. Now, keep in mind, you had the $4,000 down. You had the 4.5% interest rate. You said you would pay this back over the next 15 years. They are fine with that as well. Now what comes into play is the amortization schedule. What is amortization? This is basically saying, okay, I will pay this back for this many years. You may be saying, well, we just say we'll pay it back for the 15 years. That's cool. And you can have an amortization schedule set for 15 years too. But most of the investors I work with like to set their amortization out even longer than the actual balloon term. And the reason they do that is because it keeps the payments lower. Let me explain it for you. I know you may be lost a little bit. It's cool. So hypothetically, like I said, you got 15 years, you're going to pay back the 100,000, right? You may say, I will pay this back in 15 years. On the 15th year, balloon payment, boom, whatever's remaining, I will pay that back. But to help me leverage the money a little bit on my side, to help me out, let's set the schedule for 30 years. And what we're saying is we're going to take that $100,000 and we're going to stretch out the terms over 30 years. And I'm not going to do the math right now. I probably should have, but you'll set it out and we're just going to use fake numbers right here. And we'll say that it will be $300 a month. We'll stretch it out over 30 years. We'll say that $100,000, 30 years, $300 a month. Now, I'm going to pay everything back in 15 years. That's the difference between the two numbers. I'm going to pay it back. That's my payback period. It's the 15 years. The amortization period is 30 years. The deal's going to be done in 15 years, but the payment is going to be based on a 30-year schedule. So it helps you keep your payments lower. If you took that same amortization schedule and made it shorter, your payments are going to go up. So say you did 20 years rather than 30 years. And now you're probably going to be paying like $400, $450, something like that. I don't know. I'm not great with math. I can't help it. But, so you play with the numbers. You see what works for you. Now, my people here, like I said, they like the 30-year. Why? Because it keeps their payment lower. When they bring a renter into the property now, they can rent that same property for $800 a month. They're only paying back $300 a month, so they're making $500 cash flow. It makes sense for them. It's a great investment. Although they didn't want to buy a rental property for $100,000 up front because that's crazy, especially in my market. But if they're able to stretch that out and pay that $100,000 over 10, 15 years at a lower amount, it makes sense to them. That's why these deals are so lovely when you can find them. There's other ways you can sell them as well. What's another way you can do it? Say you lock up a property and rather than finding an investor, you find somebody who wants to live in the property themselves. Same scenario though. You set it up the same way. They bring the down payment. The house is $100,000. That's what you have the contract with the seller for. Now you find somebody who wants to live in the house and you sell it to them for $110,000, $115,000, and they bring the down payment. Remember, you're bringing the seller $4,000 down, so you're telling this person, hey, you have to bring $15,000 down and you can move into the house. They bring in the down payment of $15,000, you pay $4,000 to the seller, you're able to keep $11,000 of that. It makes sense for everyone in that scenario. And that same scenario could play out even further. You can stay in the deal or you can jump out. What do I mean? I'm explaining to you. Earlier, I told you that you have everything stretched out and now you're paying $300 a month for the payment. If you found a buyer who wanted to move in, they paid the down payment. Now you got the down payment money. You could stay in the deal and be the middleman. So now you're telling this person right here, the buyer, look, you have to pay $800 a month until everything's paid back. They're like, okay, cool. You already have the agreement with the seller where you have to pay them $300. So now you are making that $500 in between. This person has the same thing set up, the same plan in place to where they're going to pay the property off in 15 years with a balloon payment. They'll bring that money, boom, pay everything off. The only difference is you're able to stay in that deal for the entire 15 years if you wanted to, or you can jump out, depends, whatever you want to do, and make that money, $500 every month. And that's how you can build a rental portfolio without ever putting any of your own money down. I mean, I know people who have locked up several properties doing it this way, and they have a crazy rental portfolio without spending a dime out of their own pocket up front. Now, you may want to have some money in reserves just in case the property needs some work or something goes wrong, because now you're going to be responsible for that. But you got a rental property and you didn't pay anything. What could be better than that? That's why owner financing deals are so sought after. They're hard to find, but when you find them and you can negotiate the perfect terms, oh my God, they are great. So I hope everything that I said makes sense. I'm sure I said a lot. I'm sure I said it fast. I'm sure you have questions. If you do, feel free to drop the questions below or go ahead and put them in the email. Send them to me at helpwithwholesaling@gmail.com or reach out to me on social media. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. Same handle at Syn910. That's SYN910. Why did I spell it when it's on the screen? I don't know. But reach out to me with any question you have. I'm here to help. I have answers. I'm not saying they're the right answers, but I have answers. And that's what you want, right? You want answers? Come to me. I got you. Until next time, man, make sure you stay grinding, stay on the mission, stay focused, stay faithful, and stay consistent, and stay true to you. That's all I ask. That's not a lot, right? Sound like a lot. Anyways, peace.